The Baltimore Ravens cruised to victory on Thursday night to kick off Week 11, 34-20, but there is some really dire circumstances now for the injuries on both sides for those teams, especially Joe Burrow and his wrist, Mark Andrews as well. Looks like he's done for the year, and we're making picks for the rest of Week 11. Coming at you right now.
NFL analyst Brian Peacock and former NFL scout Matt Williamson bring you expert NFL analysis every day in less than 30 minutes. Get an inside look into the NFL on the field and in the front office. With elite breakdowns, next-level analysis, and in-depth information only for the real NFL fans. This is Peacock and Williamson, and it starts now.
Welcome to the Peacock and Williamson NFL Show. Brian Peacock alongside Matt Williamson at BD Peacock at Williamson NFL. Thanks, everybody, for making us your first listen right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Love all the everydayers out there with us. Make sure you are subscribed on YouTube and everywhere you get your podcast. Today's episode of Peacock and Williamson is brought to you by Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use code, all lowercase, Locked On NFL for a first deposit match up to $100 at Prize Picks. Matt, is the Cincinnati Bengals season over? Is that too hyperbolic right now after a 34-20 loss at the hands of the Baltimore Ravens? And your star quarterback, if you're the Bengals, and Joe Burrow now has a wrist injury that followed a calf injury that ruined the first part of the season. And you're already really behind the eight ball in the AFC with any of the tiebreakers and the toughest schedule left, I think, in the NFL, or one of the top toughest schedules left. There's not a single team under 500. I think they're playing the rest of the way. This does not look good for Cincinnati right now, Matt. Did they just pack it in?
Yeah, I want to talk about them in a minute, but I have a small little something to get off my chest here that I think isn't exactly unique. But I thought this was a poorly officiated game. You know, the hold on, I think it was Aguilar or Bateman on the Zay Jones run, and then another pass interference on DJ Turner, where everyone on the planet, when you saw it a second time, didn't think it was a call, and we still have to live with it. And those are huge plays. One's like a 60-yard touchdown. The other one was a 30-some-yard defensive pass interference play. Like, okay, you threw a flag, you screwed up, and even like the announcers, Herb Street and those guys are immediately said, boy, I don't see it. That's not a good call. Like, isn't there some way we can just overturn an obvious bad call no matter what it is? I mean, that's making me crazy.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, come on.
Everything's got to get opened up to a
eye in the sky or something.
An eye in the sky instant review that at any moment you hit the buzzer.
Yes.
We're going to fix this.
We've been saying that for years.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know they're worried about, you know, dragging the games on too long, but shouldn't you get a 60-yard touchdown right? Isn't that more important than 3 minutes of viewing time? You know,
and it'll help. It'll actually make it.
It'll help,
I think, in a lot of ways, because it'll be instantaneous. It'll be, I hit the buzzer, and we're going to look at this real quick and get it right. And you're not going to walk 60 yards down the field. You're going to stay where you were, and you're going to snap the next play, and it's going to take not very much time at all. And if you can't see it immediately with the eye in the sky, the next play is going to happen, and then you're off.
So the other thing I've been harping on, and I'm not smart enough to figure it out, and maybe it's not feasible, but I think it's the fact that they play these Thursday night games really tells me they aren't all that concerned with player safety, no matter what they say, especially for the road team. And that's not why the Bengals lost or anything of that sort. But at a minimum, these games should never be a division game. You know, I mean, they're too important, division games. They really shouldn't even be a conference game. But I can live with a conference game here and there. I can't live with division games. I mean, they're just too important. They basically count double. And again, can't you install some system where there's 2 buys per week and nobody has a 3-day week if you're truly, you know, into player safety? And Burrow, Lamar, Andrews, all these guys could have got hurt on a Sunday, a Monday, whatever. I mean, but it just happens all the time, and the product is clearly inferior. And you know,
even if let's say you only still had 1 bye per season, and it came before the Thursday nighter, so you didn't get the full time that you would rest up to the next Sunday game.
Yeah, but then you get a long break after.
Right. Don't you think if you polled players, teams, coaches, medical staffs, don't you think they would rather have not a true full bye and 2 mini buys back to back where you have 10 days before the Thursday nighter and then the long mini bye after that again versus the full true bye and then playing a game like a Thursday nighter? And I think the viewers would like it more too, because I have questions whether or not it's a good enough product to even have Thursday nighters at all.
Exactly. That's my point too. And I do think it leads to more injuries and lesser product. And the away team really doesn't practice for these games. They get 0 practices. And I know that's what the logic is. Well, that's why we make division games, because we know the opponent so well. You don't need as much practice. I'm like, no, it needs more. I mean, like, I'd rather, if you're not going to put your best game out, you'd rather lose to an NFC team if you're an AFC North team than a crucial game in the division. So leading up to this game, as you can imagine, I previewed this a ton. AFC North weekend, this has a lot to do with the Steelers' fate, et cetera, et cetera. But studying the Bengals, not even their style of play or how they're playing, I thought if they lost this game, they probably were not a playoff team. And I've said the same thing about the Bills, just because all the tiebreakers are against them. I mean, this makes them 0-3 in the North. Everyone else has at least 2 wins. This makes them, I think, 5 or 6 AFC losses. So every wild card tiebreaker you're going to lose.
I think they're 2-5 in the AFC now.
2-5. Okay.
Yeah.
And then, like the Bills, they have the 2 hardest schedules in the league. So I thought with Burrow, with Higgins returning, with everybody at full strength, losing this game made you a very, very long shot for the playoffs. Now, I mean, if your quarterback's not there, forget about it. I mean, even
no
one more game.
Yeah. So at this point, and I don't know if his calf is even 100%, but at this point,
did you see on the sideline they have this like crazy thing that he puts on when he comes off the sideline on his calf?
Yeah, and it turns out there was something to those pictures that showed some sort of a wrist brace or something throughout the week, and I thought maybe these people are crazy conspiracy theorists. And he wasn't on the injury report, which now
that's a little fishy too.
I don't know how that helps you. If you can't throw a football, you're not going to roll your quarterback out there. So what's the point of not putting him on the injury report? But it's all bad, and there's 0 chance whether or not he misses the rest of the year or however many weeks it is. There's no way you put Joe Burrow back on the field this year unless he is 100% wrist, calf, everything. And then maybe you get a couple games in at the end of the year and you press reset. You start again in 2024. It is a lost season right now. It's looking like for the Cincinnati Bengals.
So their next game is Steelers. Oh yeah. They host the Steelers. So, and then they go to Jacksonville, 2 AFC games. I mean, you lose either one of them, I think they're out. And I can't imagine he plays 10 days
not even like you're on the brink, you're over the brink, and it's mathematically elimination time. Nearly.
Yep. So I think it's a lost season for Cincinnati, maybe Buffalo as well. The Andrews injury is massive, of course, but Baltimore's in good shape. I mean, they're considering, their situation's in good shape.
You have Isaiah Likely, who's a nice young player that, can step in. He's not going to be Mark Andrews, but it doesn't ruin your season if Mark Andrews is indeed out for the year after his injury on Thursday night. More concerning would be Lamar Jackson's ankle. He said after the game, "Stop asking me about it. It's fine." I don't know if that's necessarily the case, but he gets a mini bye here and legs are a big part of how he plays, but they're running the football without him running it just fine the last few weeks and making plays in the passing game too. So Ravens rolling right now, looking like they're in great shape. I thought the Bengals had turned the corner, but the last couple of weeks really puts them in an awful spot now and nearly impossible spot for the Bengals. Any other thoughts on the actual game here before we move along to the rest of our Week 11 picks, man?
It kind of is an Andrews subset here, that Likely is a good player. This Mitchell dude's another weapon they can use in the passing game or as a change of pace. It looks like Odell's starting to get his legs under him. Bateman's making plays here and there. And so they have pass catchers. I mean, and they're a good team. They're a contender. They're the best team in the North.
I almost forgot Nelson Aguilar was on the Ravens, to be honest with you. Because, and he's made some plays this year, but, hasn't been a big part of their offense. And, but yeah, having Odell out there making plays, 7 targets, 4 of those catches, 116 there. Obviously the 51-yarder, the touchdown, 10-yard touchdown strike to Rashad Bateman in this one, the touchdown to Nelson Aguilar with the front flip. He didn't quite land the full front flip, but still got some athleticism there. Making his 1 target count in that game. So they do have some weapons to throw the ball. And look, if Odell's going to start playing like that, and you have Isaiah Likely and you have Keaton Mitchell kind of out of nowhere as being a change of pace, really athletic back out of the backfield, and Gus Edwards is just 2 touchdowns a game at this point. So you're going to be fine if you're the Baltimore Ravens, but you have to have a healthy Lamar Jackson in December. We haven't seen that in 3 years.
Yeah, and the mini bye is big for them too. So they're in real good shape. They're in charge of the North and are almost obviously a playoff team.
Speaking of the North, we've got Browns Steelers coming up in Week 11. We're going to make our picks there and some quick previews for the rest of NFL Week 11 schedule. And I got a couple notes about this Steelers team and where they're at right now, and how their season could look in comparison to a team like the Cincinnati Bengals in that division. Next. Today's episode of Peacock and Williamson is brought to you by Prize Picks Daily Fantasy Made Easy. Prize Picks is the most fun you will have playing daily fantasy sports this football season. And while you're having all that fun, how about making 25 times your money potentially as well? And it could not be simpler. All you do is you select 2 or more players at Prize Picks, and you pick more or less on their projected stats for that game, and turn $10 into $250 if you hit them all. So with basketball season here as well, an extra special combo projection offer now from Prize Picks as well. It's a lot of fun. So across football and basketball from the Specials League at Prize Picks, there's a league created specifically for combo projections that include both one player from NFL and one player from the NBA. For example, LeBron James plus Travis Kelce, 10.5 combo of 3 points made and receptions. So have tons of fun playing Prize Picks, make some money along the way as well. And a special offer for our listeners: go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, that is prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL. Download the app and use code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy. All right, let's get going through the rest of this schedule. We made our 6-pack of favorite picks on yesterday's show, so you can go back and get our previews and our reasonings for picking. These were my picks, at least, and I think we had a lot of agreement yesterday. I picked the 49ers over the Bucks against the spread, obviously, in some of these games. Not obviously for the 49ers games. It's 11.5 spread. A lot of big spreads that we went through yesterday. Bears and Lions. I got Bears taking 9 points there. Taking the Bills, giving up 7 points. Dolphins, 12.5, giving that up against the Raiders. That deflates, I think, a little bit for the Raiders. And then Cowboys, Panthers. Cowboys giving up 10 points on the road, but still taking those Cowboys against the 1-win Panthers right now. Which brings us to the Steelers and Browns today. Matt, we're making the pick here. And Cleveland is favored at home by 1.5 points, starting rookie quarterback Dorian Thompson-Robinson against the 6-3 Steelers. So we got the 6-3 Steelers at the 6-3 Browns. And how about the Steelers? They get an injured quarterback coming to town in Deshaun Watson. So they get rookie DTR. And then next week, they're probably going to get Browning and no Joe Burrow. I mean, this Steelers season, it's like the sky's open and the gods said, Steelers, guess what? You're going to be a playoff team this year, despite what some people think about where you're at roster-wise.
Yeah, I mean, every game this year, they have lost the yardage battle, and they're 6-3. I mean, there's some crazy stuff going on. They lead the league in turnover differential. They win in the margins. So here's my favorite stat from this game is the Steelers' opponents have played 75 more plays than the Steelers, which is like well more than a normal game. I mean, that's really bad. It's near the bottom of the league. But to put that in context, the Browns have played 166 more plays than their opponents. That's like 2.5 more games. So, I mean, they had 25 more snaps than the Ravens last week. I mean, you wonder, how'd you pull out that crazy win against the Ravens? I've been saying all week, they're just a boxer that body blows you for 15 rounds. And in this, 13th, 14th round, you can hardly even stand up anymore, but they're not a knockout puncher. They just beat your ribs to death in your gut, and that they're a tough physical team. Their defense, I think, is the best in the league and clearly the best unit here. This game opened at 4, but I think the Steelers win. I mean, this is going to be a race to maybe 12 points. I mean, this is going to be ugly as could be. That's exactly how both these teams want to play. Physical, run the ball, lots of punts, probably some big plays by Garrett and Watt and Hayward and those guys as well. But the big trend that worries me most from a Browns perspective is it doesn't matter who their quarterback has been. They turn the ball over a ton, and the Steelers are feasting on turnovers. And I don't think in a game like this, you can lose the turnover battle.
It's wild because there might be the fewest snaps in the league this year for the Steelers, right? Or for the Browns too, when you combine both these teams. And yet if Kenny Pickett doesn't throw an interception, there's a good chance that DTR does or fumbles or something happens to where that thing skews in the Steelers' favor. By the way, 32.5, that's got to be easily the lowest over under for any game this season, right?
It has to. I don't know that for sure, but I'm sure it keeps coming down. The line started at 4 and it keeps coming down, since the Watson news.
Is it as simple as ugliness, low scoring? It's only 1.5 right now. Looking at our FanDuel spread, just take whatever point you can get here. 1.5 points. You're taking the Steelers on the road against the Browns.
Yeah, it didn't hold up last night, but there is a massive AFC North head-to-head trend that you just take the points because it's hitting at like 70% clip. When your star quarterback doesn't get hurt, has probably something to do with it as well.
Yeah, and there's no star quarterback to get hurt on either one of these teams.
No. My buddy sent me a text last night. He's like, are we like a minute away from Kenny Pickett being the best quarterback of the division? And he's horrible. Like if Lamar's hobbled, like what is going on here? Things are just falling their way right now.
Or one really good DTR performance for the rookie,
he's
saying,
the guy.
I'm actually fun and we can win games and we can put up points as long as he's not turning the ball over. He can create with his legs. Yeah. Can he get the ball out to his playmakers? Can they run the ball a little bit? I'm fascinated to see what this game looks like because pretty big implications here in that division with one of the teams after this is going to be 7-3.
So one more stat for you. I won't harp on the Steelers too much, but this is exactly who they are. Pickett has played in 22 games. They're 2-6 in a game that he's thrown an interception. You're like, one interception should not. They're up. We can't win this one. You're 2-6 if he throws at least an interception. 11-3 when he doesn't. I mean, like that's who this team is. Just don't turn the ball over. Be in it at the end.
Browns are 4-1 at home. They play really good defense.
They do.
If Dorian Thompson-Robinson is just average, the Browns could still make a run and be pretty good.
They could. Their D is awesome.
It's a big if, though. We don't know. He's a rookie quarterback. That's going to be a roller coaster ride, most likely. But he's a talented guy. And seeing what he did in the preseason got me excited. His one opportunity so far in the regular season was not good. Let's see if we can turn that around. Steelers might not be the best defense to go up against to try to turn that around either.
They're missing both their starting offensive tackles as well. That's not good in this matchup. I mean, it's going to be a slog.
Yeah. Let's go to the Chargers and Packers. And are we officially on Joe Staley fire watch? We were asked earlier this week during our mailbag episode, Matt, what are the hot seat rankings basically? Mm-hmm. And Joe Staley for both of us is easily the number one. Just kind of a team that's felt like it's underachieved for multiple seasons now. The Chargers are under 500 at 4-5. They're on the verge of being last behind both the Raiders and the Broncos in the AFC West if they lose this week, depending on what happens with those other teams. So the 4-5 Chargers, they feel like they're one. I feel like they're one big loss away from maybe a shakeup and potentially a fired coach. But luckily for them, they're going against the 3-6 Packers, who are not going great right now, and they are favored by 3 points on the road at the 3-6 Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, I don't love going against the home dog, but I do think the Chargers are the better team. I think Love played a pretty good game last week against Pittsburgh. I mean, he's coming off a pretty decent performance, but I don't trust this offense or passing game at all. I don't trust either one of these teams at all. This is another one of those games I'd love to bet against both, which makes me think I should take the points, but I'm going to fall for the Chargers, allure of all the talent, blah, 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 and say they win this one on the road. But boy, I don't feel good about that at all.
And much like we talked about with the Bengals, you lose here if you're the Chargers, and you can kiss that.
Forget about it.
It's not an AFC opponent, but
still, AFC is tough, man.
AFC is tough right now, and if you're below 500, you got no shot, especially if you don't have a chance to win your division. Which the Chargers, like I said, if they lose this, they're going to be last in the AFC West, potentially. I got to take the points because I don't know what to trust about either one of these teams right now. Green Bay is not the easiest place to play. It could be cold, bad weather type of thing. Give me points here, home dog points. That's just what my spidey senses tell me about this type of football game. But the Chargers obviously could win this game. The Packers are just as talented top to bottom. It's just a question about how they're going to play at their quarterback position, their passing game with the Packers, and passing game might not be the factor in this game if the weather's bad, which does not help the Chargers.
No, do I trust the Chargers to go to Green Bay and win a road game? Not at all. But I do think Herbert versus Love is enough for me to lay the points. But again, I don't like this game at all.
All right, we're going to go through the rest of the Week 11 schedule, making our picks next. Today's episode of Peacock Williamson is brought to you by DoorDash. It's time to pull out your Lucky Charm jersey and order your favorite apps and snacks on DoorDash because it's football season. It is almost NFL Sunday or Monday night, and it's time to root for your team on a full stomach, not an empty stomach. So order DoorDash, save on all your football watch party favorites, whether you just want your wings, burgers, pizza, soda in front of your face while you're watching the game, whether it's halftime, 2-minute warning, whatever ordering time is for you when you're watching NFL football, get it delivered straight to your door without missing any of the game with DoorDash. Or how about just fixing up your own spread, right? You having people over? DoorDash grocery delivery as well can help you with that football watch party if you are bold enough to be cooking up yourself this Sunday or Monday night. Get 50% off up to $10 value when you spend $15 or more on your first order when you download the DoorDash app and enter code LOCKED23. Don't forget, use our code LOCKED23 for 50% off up to $10 value with your first order when you download the DoorDash app and spend $15 or more, subject to change. Terms apply. DoorDash. All right, here we go. Let's rapid fire through the rest of the week and make our picks here for a pretty interesting schedule of games. How about the New York Giants at the Washington Commanders? And this is a game that a 4-6 team usually doesn't have a line where they're favored 8.5 points in Week 11, but that's what we have right now with the Sam Howell-led Washington Commanders against one of the worst disasters in the league this year, and the New York Giants, who are coming in on the road at 2-8, a division opponent. Is that enough with some familiarity to keep this one close, or are we just going to see Giants blow out losses the rest of the way this year with no Daniel Jones?
I don't envy the folks in Vegas that have to make Giants lines. I don't know where you even start against even a mediocre to below average team like this, because I don't think 8.5 is nearly enough. I mean, this is a embarrassing team on both sides of the ball. I think they lose by double digits to like everybody in the league not named Carolina right now.
They've lost by, trying to do some quick math here. They've lost by 8.5 points at least 6-7 times already this year. They have 2 wins, and I think I only see one of their losses that wasn't by at least 8.5 points. So I don't
remember very many close games.
Yeah,
especially lately.
It's just things are just all bad there, and body language. Even you're seeing their head coach every time the offense comes off the field, he's not happy about what's going on. It's a lot of points for the Commanders team, but I do like the way the Howell is playing right now.
Me too.
The defense is not really doing great things, but can they put up enough points on offense? And with the Giants, you might not need to play massively great defense to come away with a big victory. So reluctantly, I think the only way to go is to just give up the points with the home Washington Commanders. And 8.5 is a lot, but I'm going to do it. It's more about distrust of what the Giants are doing right now than anything else, really.
100%. I mean, to think that Howell has a massive, massive quarterback advantage over the opponent is crazy.
Titans, Jaguars. The 3-6 Titans are on the road at the 6-3 Jaguars. Jaguars coming off a bye last week, got thumped by the 49ers, which is usually an indication they're going to come in angry and have a lot of, tough conversations this week while they're watching film. And those guys don't want to see that again on film in front of the rest of the team, right? Jags are favored for a reason by a touchdown here, 7 points. Will Levis had after his hot start, a little bit of a rough one last week. 3-6 Titans at 6-3 Jaguars. Are you giving up 7? Are you giving up a touchdown for the Jacksonville Jaguars at home in Week 11, man?
I think people are a little bit overreacting to the Jags getting beat bad by a very, very good Niners team. I mean, they've won 4 or 5 in a row coming into that game, and things were going really well. But I think Vrabel keeps this thing close. I mean, division game, 7 points. I don't think the Jags O-line's all that good. A lot of Derrick Henry, a lot of running the football. I think this is a close, low-scoring game. Division, I'll take the points.
Yeah, when you see an over-under that's on the low side, under 40, 39.5, and you get 7 division opponents, that usually tells me to take the points. I just don't like that they're on the road. You make a great point about Jags' offensive line. That's tough, and Trevor Lawrence hasn't had an opportunity. He's a good deep ball thrower to really uncork those. Everything's kind of short and confined for them. Vrabel will have his team coached up and playing hard. I just don't know if they have the firepower there. So I'm gonna give up the 7 and take the Jacksonville Jaguars, even though I think logic tells me to take the points.
Okay. I like it. I don't love where Tennessee's at either. Their O-line
just the chaotic up and down nature of the NFL. I think it's just one of those where you get thumped one week and then you come back and you beat somebody bad in your division. Everyone's like, oh yeah, the Jaguars are fine. Never mind.
Yeah, that very well could be true. I thought they were fine, 1 week ago.
Right. Arizona Cardinals at 2-8. Kyler Murray's back and brought the Cardinals a win last week, playing against C.J. Stroud, who not only rookie of the year conversation, Matt, we're talking about he's getting close to 3,000 yards already. Probably won't hit that this week, but he could. He's 26-26 right now. So yeah, he's it would be a performance to get to 3,000 passing yards, 15 touchdowns of 2 interceptions for a rookie. He's doing things you don't see maybe ever from rookie quarterbacks right now with a rebuilding team in Houston. They're at home, and he's in the MVP conversation, not just offensive rookie of the year conversation. Is CJ Stroud favored by 5.5? The Houston Texans right now over those visiting Arizona Cardinals. Who you got?
Yeah, and what's funny about the MVP conversation is people keep dropping like flies. I mean, it's not Allen, it's not Burrow. I don't know Lamar's in that driver's seat. I bet the winner of the Monday night game will start to get a lot of traction, but Stroud should be mentioned at least, which is a massive honor for a rookie. This is maybe my favorite bet of the week, but I love the over. I think the Arizona offense is legit now, and I know the Texans offense is very legit. I think this is a barn burner. Start all your fantasy dudes, but I'll lay the points. I think the Texans win this thing in the end by at least a touchdown.
Yeah, with getting a little bit more comfortable, Kyler Murray after a long absence. Yeah. Michael Wilson, the rookie's doing things. Rondale Moore got a bunch of targets all of a sudden. James Conner's back as well at running back. They've got a good offensive line to the Cardinals, so the offense is probably going to be fine.
Pretty good, yeah.
For Arizona, maybe not quite, difference-making powerhouse receivers on the outside, but McBride at tight end as well. So I like your bet. I like the over. You talked me into it. As far as, and I think I might take the points here just because I don't necessarily trust the Texans to be blowing teams out left and right. But they should be able to put up some points on that Cardinals defense. So this might be fun, just a popcorn game, just to see if CJ Stroud and Kyler Murray light up the scoreboard.
I kind of think they will. It's just fun.
The Seattle Seahawks are in the division at the Los Angeles Rams. 6-3 Seahawks at the 3-6 Rams. Seattle favored by 1 point on the road.
So in your rock, paper, scissors division, the Rams beat the Seahawks, right? I think that's the trend.
Yes, the Seahawks have owned the 49ers over the course of decade plus now. Although in recent history, the 49ers have beaten up on the Seahawks multiple times last year, and about to face them a couple times in 3 weeks coming up next week. And yeah, the Rams have the Seahawks number. The 49ers and Shanahan has beaten McVay almost every time, except for the one that mattered the most in the NFC Championship game. So yeah, that's kind of how it goes in this division. But I think this might be one that's Seahawks travel decent. They've got a lot of fans. LA is just one of those places where the home field advantage isn't quite what it is in some other places. The Rams have so few playmakers, but they've got some really good ones, and having Stafford back is so huge here. So this one's good for your fantasy team, but I do have to take the Seahawks, and I'll give up that 1 point on the road.
Okay. I like the Rams, mostly because of Stafford. I do think they're the rock where Seahawks are the scissors, and I don't really care about the home thing, because I don't think they do have much of a home advantage. I'm sure there'll be tons of Seahawks there. I just like the chance. I just like McVay with 2 weeks to prepare with a healthy star quarterback. against an opponent he knows very, very well.
Yes. How about this? If you want to see the most points scored on Sunday, tune in early game Cardinals at Texans, late game Seahawks at Rams.
I can see that. Yeah. Like, I'm not hesitating to start Stafford in my fantasy league.
What do you think about Joshua Dobbs this week? The Minnesota Vikings are at the Denver Broncos. The 6-4 Vikings. Look out for the Vikings right now at 6-4. Can they keep it up? I still have my doubts. The Broncos are playing the best ball we've seen in a couple years from them. Suddenly 4-5 might not be the worst team in the conference. Might not be the worst team in the division. And the Broncos are favored at home by 2.5, Matt.
I like what Denver's doing. They're running the football. They're showing that they are a quality coach. They might be getting what they paid for with Sean Payton. Tough place to play, of course, the altitude, all that stuff. I'll take the points, though. I think the Vikings are the better team than Denver, even though I said some good things about the Broncos. Well, they are on a 5-game winning streak in Minnesota, and I think Justin Jefferson returns for this one. Jefferson versus Surtain. That's as good as it gets, but I'll take points in this game. I think it's an even matchup.
The Vikings were 1-4 with Jefferson and 5-0 without him. So maybe he should wait.
Trade him.
I'm taking points here in this one because I don't know with these two teams. I don't know what to expect. I don't think the Vikings are very good still, but they're a well-coached team. The way that Russell Wilson is playing right now, he's finally kind of gotten broken down and coached into a different player than he ever was. It's like kind of first read, ball coming out quick. It's not I'm going to escape out the back way, throw these moonball bombs. And it's kind of working. Yeah, and it's working. And so I think, Sean Payton kind of getting through to him, and they're obviously playing better ball. I just still don't think they're a very good team, and I'm not going to I'm always going to I'm going to take points if there's a decent team coming to play them. So, yeah, give me points here all day.
Me too. I feel pretty good about the points. But that's going to be a fun game. The Sunday Nighters are a little more fun than I originally thought.
Yeah, Sunday Nighter. And then the Monday Nighter, which is a lot of fun to cap off the week. Can't wait for this one. It's the Philadelphia Eagles at 8-1. They're on the road at the 7-2 Kansas City Chiefs. And there's some really fun schedule for some of these best teams coming down the stretch here of the 2023 season. And the Eagles are one of them. The Chiefs, man, have a nice little lead there. And we're talking about MVP earlier. And Mahomes, with what he has at receiver, and the Chiefs are going to end up with the 1 seed, and he's just going to roll to an MVP, isn't he?
Probably. This is, if not, it might be Hurts. They've only got 1 loss. Whoever wins this one's probably the leader in the clubhouse for MVP. I'm still worried about the Chiefs offense, though. I think the teams are even more than ever just going to dedicate insane resources to taking away Kelsey. And I don't know if the other guys can hurt you enough to keep up with a team like the Eagles, but I really like the Chiefs. I'm going to take the points here. Is it 2.5? Is that what I saw last?
Home Chiefs favored by 2.5.
Yeah, I don't know who wins, but I'll take the points. I think, the bye is good for Philly as well.
And both these teams coming off a bye.
Yeah.
That's so correct. Extra long rest for both these teams. A bye plus a Monday Nighter. At post-bye, rookie receiver Rashee Rice. Look out for Rashee Rice. I think that's the emerging guy for the Chiefs down the stretch. Just got a hunch there. So in your daily fantasy leagues, or if he's still in the waiver wire in your leagues, Rashee Rice, look out for him with Patrick Mahomes coming off of a bye. I like the Chiefs. I like them at home. I think this is nearly a pick 'em game. And then when you get 3-point bump for your home team, traditionally 2.5's not that. So give me Kansas City. I'm going to give up the points at home. Eagles, I need to see a complete game here. They've had the type of schedule where they're able to hang around in the first half and then just lean on teams and go win it in the second half. I don't know if they can do that against the Kansas City Chiefs. And so I'm very interested to see how this one goes. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to take the Chiefs here, and both these teams coming out 8-2 after 11 weeks.
I hear you. It's hard to bet against the Chiefs, especially in Arrowhead. But I just think 2.5 is a little bit high.
That is week 11. Those are our picks. Let us know what you think at BD Peacock, at Williamson NFL. Get those mailbag questions in for us next week as you're watching football, or you can wait till Wednesday before you do that as well. In the YouTube comments, make sure you're subscribed there on YouTube and everywhere you get your podcasts. Matt and I back post week 11 to break it all down right here. Peacock and Williamson.